Hi, do you dread Mondays? I want to suggest that you haven't found your Ikigai yet. Your Ikigai is that beautiful Japanese word for your passion and your purpose, and the reason for waking up in the morning that's bigger than yourselves. In this 2020 motivation series, New Decade, New You, I will provide you with potent ideas and tools to live a life that you adore. And I got to a point where I was actually burnt out in all levels in life. And so my process actually started almost 2.5 years ago regarding what do I need to do to get out of this state of being burnt out. 2.5 years ago, I actually made a list of the 5 people that need to be in my life, and I think more importantly, the 5 people that's toxic and mustn't be in my life. I think that's also important. I mean, you can be influenced, but when you spend time with people that's naysayers, that don't really want you to succeed, that's toxic, that's negative all the time, whether it's politics, business, whatever the case would be, generally in life, then emotionally contagion sets in and you just being pulled with them. It's a lot easier to get toxicated than actually get inspired. That's one thing I think we both talked about toxic people and naysayers, and I came to realize that people are toxic, people are naysayers, but they don't really realize that. I mean, they're doing the best they can with the ability that they have, with the awareness that they have. So it's not to say somebody, when I say somebody's a toxic person or a naysayer or negative person, that's in my view at that stage in my life. But it's not to say it's a bad person. It's just a person at that stage with obviously some issues from their heart, from the soul, that they need to work through. Doesn't make them a bad person. It just doesn't make the right fit for me right now in my life.
One of them would be it's not a tactic as much as it would be a model. And he talks about the joy as a GPS.
That's probably that's amazing. It's amazing.
Now, if you want to speak to the joy, I'm curious as to when did you implement the joy as a GPS? Did you kind of do that deconstruction of who are the people? What are the places, or where are the places? What are the pursuits? Did you try that tactic granularly with your life?
So about 2.5 years ago, I was actually sort of burnt out. I'm an accountant, mainly a profession from almost 2 decades now, and I'm also got involved in a few businesses as an entrepreneur. And I got to a point where I was actually burnt out in all levels in life. And so my process actually started almost 2.5 years ago regarding what do I need to do to get out of this state of being burnt out, and followed a lot of principles of Robin and also a lot of principles of Tim Ferriss. Timothy Ferriss, our 4-hour work week, tribe of mentors, etc. So, and obviously start to change my influence of people that influence me as well. So I like to call it the 5 chimps theory. You probably heard about that as well if you know Tim Ferriss. But the 5 chimps theory. So you are basically, you can predict the behavior of a chimpanzee by the 5 chimps that he actually surrounds himself with. I mean, we know that's emotional contagion, whatever you want to call it. So 2.5 years ago, I actually made a list of the 5 people that need to be in my life, and I think more importantly, the 5 people that's toxic and mustn't be in my life. I think that's also important. I mean, you can be influenced, but when you spend time with people that's naysayers, that don't really want you to succeed, that's toxic, that's negative all the time, whether it's politics, business, whatever the case would be, generally in life, then emotionally contagion sets in and you just being pulled with them. It's a lot easier to get toxicated than actually get inspired. So that process I've done, and I also in my whole practice, in my whole business, I started looking at the pursuits I'm busy with, the business I was involved with, and some of them I one of the business I actually blessed a partner with the whole business, just to step away from that. Not that it might be a bad partner, just it was just my time in life that I had to let go of that. So, and fired a lot of clients. I fired really a lot of clients in my accounting practice, and it's beautiful how when you start doing that and when you start attracting certain clients, the universe is start sending you that specific clients. It's amazing when you start sending specific energy vibrations out in the world, it actually just come in multiple ways back to you. And then, like you say, places as well. Start spending time at places and doing the things that you really love. And if you start doing whatever you love to do, you enjoy every second of your life, in your personal life and in your business. Yeah, so that's my summary of that, and that really helped me and keep me out of being burnt out at all. Thank you for watching. Just a quick reminder to grab your gift pack for entrepreneurs in the link below. It's a gift pack for entrepreneurs to the value of 57,000 Rand, free of charge. All you need to do is activate it. Part of that gift pack for entrepreneurs is a voucher of 3 months for 3 months free accounting services from a company, Dryk Holdings. All you need to do is activate the gift pack voucher in the link below, and we will be in contact with you as soon as you've done that. Thank you for watching, and back to the interview.
Joy as a GPS model was probably the second model that I spent my focus on after the 2020 at 5 a.m. That was the first. That was the first model. I told myself that needed just to be a routine, a habit. That needed to be a thing. This was then, and I needed everything else to go through this early morning rise habit. So I focused on that, and I'm happy to say over a year later, it is habit. Not to say that it's every single day. Looking past last year, I would say probably about 5.25 days a week I was up at 5 running the play, which is a huge success. The next model that I implemented was the Joy as a GPS. And you mentioned, and so just if anyone's not familiar, that's, your joy comes from 3 P's: your people, places, and pursuits. And you either get more or less joy based on those. So when it came to people, which you mentioned, and it spoke to me mostly first, were the people. And so I made the list of the 5 people that increased my joy. And that was relatively easy. But what seemed to be easier was to highlight the 5 people in my life that were causing me the most stress. And everyone experiences the same thing. Some of these people you can eliminate, some people you can't eliminate. So you need to readdress your relationship with them. I mean, they could be family, close friends, they could be loved ones potentially, they could be business partners. There's a lot of people that you don't get to exclude just because you realize that they're toxic. But it's your awareness that to them. And so I found by addressing those and focusing on, again, a lot of the Robin principles, that the relationship to that individual or individuals has changed. It's not completely where I want it to be, but some are quite close and some are still on their way. And then there are a few people that are just no longer present. They are friends. I love them, but journey right now, they seem to be toxic. They seem to be a victim, typically a critic, typically a naysayer, like you said. So anyway, so people, figuring out that. And then places and pursuits. The places, I really spent time getting my household to a point where I really like declutter, paintings that really inspired me. I never had plants, so I put plants everywhere, flowers, like things that, you know, never really resonated with me at first. But I said, wait a minute, what would it be like if I actually enjoyed coming home? And so I put my decorating shoes on, and I've, you know, so I've increased my enjoyment of my immediate environment. But to stay with this principle, the pursuits is kind of where I'm focusing my energy on now, where I'm doing a little bit of a shift work-wise, and so I'm highlighting that there are some pursuits, namely getting back to being an online influencer. Because many years ago I was go with the YouTube, might have been 18 months, and I was all about it. And I stopped doing that after I was getting early success. I stopped doing that, and for different reasons, but I put that away. I put that, you know, that online guy that I always envisioned, put him away. And it's 8 years later, and he's still there. And so the joy is a GPS. Looking at the model, I'm looking at my pursuits, and there's pursuits that I haven't been pursuing that my heart's telling me is going to bring me joy. And so film, video, again, online marketing, online sales, this kind of world, with respect to real estate, right? So it's staying within my niche, my industry. It's not a completely different thing. Anyway, I'm maybe off topic, but just the idea of the joy as the GPS, you know, it's talents that people are potentially looking for. I really think that is the model to approach their ability to get that in line, as well as, again, some daily structures to put in place to make sure that they're focusing on the important tasks, getting them done, and then allowing themselves to open up and be free that second half of the day and enjoy the day.
Firstly, I don't think you need to apologize at all about being off track. I think that's the whole reason for the day. It's really just have a nice chat and just keep being in the flow of providing value, adding value, and just share some insights with each other and with the audience that might listen to this, just about tactics and ideas and what we came across, what we've learned came across our path in the past. Just one thing, I think we both talked about toxic people and naysayers, and I came to realize that people are toxic, people are naysayers, but they don't really realize that. I mean, they're doing the best they can with the ability that they have, with the awareness that they have. So it's not to say somebody, when I say somebody's a toxic person or naysayer or negative person, that's in my view at that stage in my life. But it's not to say it's a bad person. It's just a person at that stage with obviously some issues from their heart, from the soul, that they need to work through. Doesn't make them a bad person. It just doesn't make the right fit for me right now in my life. And one of the things one of the great things I took away from PMA was, and one of the things I didn't know of was the Afra tool, which is actually a very nice tool of releasing heartache and sending forward in your life from people that may have hurt you, and like I said, didn't even realize that they're doing that, or didn't really have that bad intention, but it just came across that way and just happened that way. So I'm just going to run through the Afra tool, because I think that's one very amazing tool. But I mean, Afra is A for awareness, being aware of a certain feeling that's in your heart, and that's where actually a lot of restraints of creating a business come from. Creating a life of awesomeness, of living in magic, because you've got heartache and somewhere somebody broke your heart in whatever way, and there's some grudge in your heart that you couldn't let go. So if you're aware of that grudge, if you're aware of that whatever you need to let go, you know about it, and you can start feel it, and that's the next word of Afra, feel. And if you can actually start feeling how you feel when you think about that specific subject, and once you actually feel that in your body, you can start, the next step is to actually release that, and to release that person, release that feeling. And it's actually amazing when you start doing that exercise, actually journal and write out whatever business path it may be, whatever it may be, when you actually release that from your heart. And the last step obviously is ascend. Afra, the last letter A, is for ascend, and actually from there rise up and creating a new business, being creative again. I found that whenever there's somewhere that I need to release or need to let go of somewhere, I believe somebody done something to me that I believe was negative, and I actually release that, I'm a lot more productive in my business. I create way better results just because of actually release that and seeing it upwards.
A number of things that I want to touch on. I can tell you one is I can almost assure you that Afra Tool will be one of his main models or points in his upcoming book that I'm sure it's still a few years away and maybe it will evolve. But he introduced that model, at least my first awareness of it became at PMA, and he went through it again at Titan, even more granularly. And so again, for people listening, Afra, it's just the idea of, becoming aware, feeling an intense, it could be regret or a grudge, or you could be in a situation where all of a sudden you're very tense, it's before a speech maybe or something, right? You have those feelings of anxiety, right? So that you become aware of it, you feel it, you let yourself feel it, you actively release it, and then you ascend. I mean, that it sounds easy, and it really does start with the A, the awareness. There's a book that I would highly recommend yourself and your viewers, if you're not aware of it. It's called Letting Go by David Hawkins. And I feel like Robin, because I got this book from Robin's suggestion. I believe he took a lot of his Afra concepts from this book, right? That's my assessment on it. And anyway, the gentleman David Hawkins goes through it. It's probably a great read. I'm using it as an audiobook, and I find it very helpful. But the Afra Tool was something that in June, when he went through the model at PMA, and it was my first time, I won't lie, I thought it was a little silly. I went, ha ha, Afra Tool. Like, okay, I was the joy as a GPS and the 20-20-20 and the two massage protocol or your dream team, all these concepts, I really, I got it. The Afra Tool, which probably falls much more under the heart set of his four entire empires, and so it's something that's hard. Again, you can intellectualize it, but it's not until you feel it and experience it. And I've experienced a few times in over the last number of months using the Afra Tool, just because of the awareness from both Robin as well as this book, Letting Go. And so for quite some time during my journaling pocket every morning last year, I probably spent a good number of months for 10-15 minutes every day. I wrote a list of all the things in my life that I was still carrying, right? A lot of it was from childhood. So relationships or events or things I didn't do or things I did do or whatever, you know. And so I actively journaled about them and with myself and let them go. I didn't realize at the time that I was trying to do AFRA. Like I didn't realize that. So that's a tool, a technique that your viewers can try if there's any kind of emotional stress in their life. Write down all the things that maybe you're still carrying, and one tool is to write about it, and that would be using the AFRA. But more in the moment, the tool, like it can come up again, potentially before this podcast, you might have these feelings of anxiety, right? So to become aware of it, to feel it, and then when you feel it, you kind of gain control. And then as soon as you have control of that feeling, you're aware of it and you're subject to it, then all of a sudden you have control and you can release it. A suggestion for a lot of your viewers, if they haven't yet tried meditation, I'm a rookie. I've only been doing it for a year, a little less than a year, and not an extensive amount of time, about 20 minutes a day on average. But a few days ago, I experienced, I guess, another AFRA moment, and it wasn't through journaling, it was through meditation. And it was a guided meditation. Headspace is the application I think a lot of people are familiar with. And anyway, I was in a state of, what you'd want to be in meditation. I was calm, relaxed, energy, that whole sensation. And I allowed in a negative thought came into my mind, and rather than being gone down, like when you have a really good meditation, you're able to have a thought and not break meditation. Again, I'm kind of new to that. That's only happened a few times, but a negative sensation came in and I felt it, but then because I was so calm, I was able to feel it. I was aware of it and I was able to feel it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to let this negative thought come right in, and I'm going to think deeply about this person. It was a person at the time that caused anxiety, and I said, no, I'm going to welcome this person in. And after a few seconds, a few moments, I didn't release it yet. I allowed and permitted the 5 or 6 other things, people, things that are causing me a lot. I all of a sudden said, come on in. And I was able to sit comfortably and in a high energy, calm state with all of the negative things together. And I was, release them. That's not to say that they're gone forever, but it was a moment where now I know that I can be in control of these. And it is because of the AFRA tool and tactics like journaling, like meditation.
Thank you for watching. Just a quick reminder to grab your gift bag for entrepreneurs in the link below. It's a gift bag for entrepreneurs to the value of 57,000 Rand, free of charge. All you need to do is activate it. Part of that gift bag for entrepreneurs is a voucher of 3 months for 3 months free accounting services from a company, Dryk Holdings. All you need to do is activate the gift bag voucher in the link below, and we will in contact with you as soon as you've done that.